Hi, friends. This is Michelle with Pooch Parenting. A lot of people lately have been asking me about whether or not they have the right dog. And that's a really brave question to ask. And it's a good question to ask because for your family to be successful with a dog, especially if you have little kids in the house, it really helps to be honest about the situation you find yourselves in with the dog that you have, or that you set yourself up for success with the dog that you're going to get in the future. This is on my mind a lot. I'm struggling with whether or not I want to get another border terrier, another young dog. I really love fostering dogs because I can love on them and teach them and make them feel safe, but I can then help them get adopted out into another family and then I can take a break. But I am thinking about getting another dog, and there are a lot of things that I need to be really honest about for my lifestyle and for what I'm looking for. And I'm in a little bit of a weird situation because I know enough to know what I want. And I also know enough to know that you can't always guarantee what you want because there are a lot of factors that come into play when you're trying to look at a dog and evaluate their personality. And there's a lot of input, right? So, some of you know that I'm a licensed family dog mediator. And I'll put some links below later. But what that basically means is that I am a student of applied animal ethology. So I look at all of the factors that make a dog a dog. And this is great because it's what I studied in college. I looked at behavioral ecology and I looked at animals in the wild. I studied monkey sex. You can ask me questions about that later. It's very interesting, very messy, very smelly. I studied elephant seals. I studied lots of animals in the wild. And now I'm very much a student of dog behavior. So there are a lot of influences that impact how dogs are the way they are, right? And really briefly, that's not the focus of this particular live, but I want you to think about it, is their learning history, the environment that they were gestated in and that they live in, that they're exposed to now. Their genetics is a really big factor. And of course, their individuality, their sense of self, right? So their health, their nutrition, their preferences, and things of that nature. Oops, excuse me. I hid that here. Um, in any case, Ashley, I'll get to your question in just a second. But there are a lot of things that you can think about when you're trying to identify if you have the wrong dog for your family right now. So maybe you're struggling, maybe your dog is kind of obnoxious, maybe you're seeing some behaviors that you consider to be problematic. Um, and I can explain those often when we look at the dog's genetics, learning history, etc. And that can help you shift your mindset a little bit to think, oh, wow, these things that I think are problems are actually very normal for a border collie or for a livestock guardian dog, for example. All right, real quick, let me answer Ashley's question. And then what I will do is go in and help you assess whether or not you've got a right dog. There's a series of questions that I like people to ask themselves. Ashley says, I have a 4-month-old puppy who has a hard time playing nice with other adult dogs. She won't listen to their cutoff signals and escalates the situation. I keep her on leash and call her to me when she gets aroused, but I don't know how to teach her these important skills. Thank you, Ashley, for asking this question. 4-month-old puppies are still very much baby dogs who are interested in socializing a lot of the time with other dogs. Puppies are very good at wanting to be around other dogs because they're baby dogs and that's how they grew up, is surrounded by their mom and other siblings. Um, the trick becomes when we allow our baby dogs to play with every dog that they want to play with, they get really excited and then they can have a lot of frustration when they no longer have access to those dogs or when you decide to say no. So you're not always going to say yes, right? You're not always going to say, sure, play with every dog, because speaking from experience, I have a dog behind me, my senior dog, who would probably attack your puppy if your puppy tried to play with her. So not every dog wants to play. And so what you're doing now, Ashley, is great because you're saying, hey, you don't always get to play. And so what you're doing is keeping her on leash and moving her away from those other dogs is a really great thing. There are games that you can play to teach her self control, to help her sort of get a grip because she can't always have what she wants every time she wants it. This is very normal for a 4-month old puppy, and these are life skills that you need to teach them. So I do teach a lot about this. If you are a parent, I have a membership for parents. It's called the Pooch Parenting Society. And you can learn more about that at safekidsanddogs.com. Let me see if I have a banner here that I can share with you. If you have kids, that's my membership for parents. And it's a really great place where you can get ongoing support. So we talk about dog training support, management support, but just like life support. And a lot of times people come in and they ask questions about their kids and dogs. So feel free to learn more about that. I would be happy to have you join in. If you're not a parent and you're just a puppy parent, we can always do a consult and I can help you as well with that. Yeah, you could still enroll, but you might feel a little bit out of place if you don't have kids, because a lot of the questions are sort of just like, daily life and how to deal with in-laws when they have different rules about the kids and dogs, and how to have play dates and things like that. I would love to have you if you want to be there, because a lot of the stuff that we talk about really is just dog behavior. Um, if you're a dog professional, I have a different membership for that, but that's a different thing. But I can always book a consult with you, Ashley. But let me go through some of these questions real quick, and let's see if I can help people do a little self assessment and try to look at things. So, the first thing I'd like to help people think about when they're trying to assess whether or not they have the right dog is what kind of energy they have. Like, would you rather sit on the couch? Would you rather go for a hike? What kind of lifestyle do you have? Because we need to make sure that the dog that you get is a dog that's going to be well suited for that type of lifestyle. What would you do with your spare time? And I'm not asking this from a place of judgment, of course. I couldn't care less if you'd rather have movie night or game night, or if you'd rather go hike on a mountain. I couldn't care less, but your dog will. And so if you don't get a dog that's like a snuggly couch potato dog, and your ideal night is snuggled under a blanket watching a movie or sitting by the fire, then that could be a problem, right? Maybe the dog and you both don't have your needs being met. The next question is, what phase are you in of your life? Are you in that busy hosting play dates back and forth to school and soccer practice and all that kind of stuff? And if that's the case, we need to think of a dog that's going to be able to be flexible and adaptable, that will work with that kind of a lifestyle. A super scared, shut down, nervous dog wouldn't do well with that kind of a busy life. How much time are you home every day? That's a really big factor, because some dogs have a lot of trouble being left alone. And they want to bond with you and spend time with you. How well do you handle nighttime interruptions with your sleep? Now, if you're a parent, you're dealing with this already with your kids. But if you have an older dog or a puppy, you're going to have to get up in the night and take them out and go potty. So you need to think about whether you're really well equipped to have a puppy in your life, or a senior dog who's ailing and doesn't have great bladder control. So you can think about that. Maybe it would be best if you had a mature dog who can handle sleeping through the night. Are you willing to be flexible? Now, this one is interesting, because to be a flexible dog family, you have to be able to adjust your schedule. You might have to adjust your furniture. So what am I talking about? I have a lot of clients that sometimes say, oh, I have a really nice house and I'm not going to move my furniture and I'm not going to put baby gates or pens. Okay, well, that's fine. But that means that the kind of dog you have in your life needs to be mature and well-mannered. If you've got kids in the house, you may have to suck it up and put up some baby gates or pens, right? So I want to know how flexible you are, because a lot of different dogs require different amounts of flexibility in order for you to live successfully together. When you go outside for a walk, your ideal distance is, right? So what kind of dog you're living with should match your particular lifestyle in terms of how long you want to go for a walk. Maybe you're older and you just want to go for a walk around the block, or maybe you have bad knees. I have a bad knee sometimes. So think about that. Do you have disposable income or are you able to spend extra money? So that means if you get a dog who needs to be groomed every 4 to 6 weeks, that costs a lot of money. My parents have a standard poodle, and I think it's like 100 and something dollars. They have two dogs that require grooming every 4 to 6 weeks, right? So their monthly budget for grooming their dogs is something like $300. So do you have that kind of a budget where you're able to spend money on your dog's medical expenses, grooming expenses? Will you be able to buy a lot of chew toys and things like that if you have a younger dog who works through those sorts of things? So it helps to be really realistic about the kind of money that it takes to have a dog like that. Do any members of your household have sensitivities to noise? Now, this is really important. I work with a lot of families who have children that are neurodivergent or that have special needs, some of whom are very sensitive to noise. So if you have a child who's super sensitive to noise, it would be best not to have a really barky, noisy breed because you're going to put your child into some discomfort. Vice versa, if you have a dog who is really sensitive to sound and you have really noisy children, if you have a neurodiverse child who stims or yells or screams like spontaneously, that could be really hard for your dog. So we want to make sure that everybody's sensitivities kind of work together. Another example of this is if you have a neurodiverse child who loves soft textures, but you have a wiry, rough dog, right? And so sometimes your kids may find your dog really unpleasant to be around. So that's something else to think about. Does everybody in the family want a dog? A lot of times we get parents who come and see me because kids really wanted a dog. So they got a dog, and guess who's responsible for taking care of the dog? Yes, the parent. So if you, as the adult, do not want a dog, don't get one for your kids because it's going to be your dog. It is your responsibility. You are the adult in the house. And so we need to be really honest and straightforward about whose responsibility the dog is. And lastly, I like to ask if anyone has any dog allergies, because if you have some dog allergies, then you're very limited on the types of dogs that you can bring into your home. And there are some misconceptions about some types of dogs that are marketed as hypoallergenic that may actually not be hypoallergenic. And so we want to make sure that every family member can live comfortably with this dog. So this assessment is in an article that I wrote on my website, and on my Facebook page, which is where you are now, I posted the article. And so you can go to that. And the article is called, Did We Get the Wrong Dog for Our Family? Or Did We Get the Wrong Dog, I guess. And so you can take the assessment for yourself and you can read up on some of the tips and tricks that I give families to help them make a good choice when they want to get a dog, or to help them make a really honest assessment of whether or not the dog they have is actually a good fit for their family. So I hope you found this helpful. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. My website is poochparenting.net. I have loads of free resources. I have a blog, I have a podcast, and a lot of free resources that you can download, along with my membership for parents who have kids and dogs. And I have a membership for Dog Pros who want to learn more about working with families who have kids so that you can say yes to more clients. And you can get information about all of that on my website. Hope you found this helpful. See you next time.